has a dream but feels stuck, if you are facing obstacles that seem overwhelming, or if you just need a dose of motivation to keep pushing forward, then you are in the right place. So buckle up, dreamers. Anchor Your Dreams is not just a podcast. It's a community of dreamers supporting dreamers, women supporting women. Subscribe, follow along, and let's navigate the seas of ambition together. Thank you for joining me on this adventure. Get ready to be inspired, motivated, and empowered. The journey begins now. Welcome to another episode of Anchor Your Dreams podcast. I'm your host, Megan McQuillan, and today we have a guest who is truly an expert in enhancing natural beauty. Joining us today is Trish Speers, a highly regarded medical aesthetic specialist and the visionary behind Natural You Laser and Skin Spa, a premier destination for aesthetic treatments in the heart of Victoria, British Columbia. Trish brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the podcast, having dedicated her career to helping individuals look and feel their absolute best. Trish is not just a practitioner, she's heart-centered and believes in the power of enhancing one's natural beauty, giving them a glow from the inside out. With a passion for advanced skincare and a commitment to personalized care, she has become an important figure in the world of medical aesthetics. Today, we'll dive into the world of medical aesthetics, skincare innovations, and the philosophy behind Natural You Laser and Skin Spa. Trish will share her journey and insights as an entrepreneur and offer valuable tips for those looking to begin their journey to radiant skin and self-confidence. So grab your favorite beverage, find a cozy spot, or if you are like me, and keep active and listen during your morning routine or another activity. Get ready to be inspired by the story of a world traveler that found her passion and purpose through big life transitions. Trish is here now to share her unique journey on Anchor Your Dreams podcast. This is a safe space. I want this to feel like a safe space to share. And that's kind of what my goal has been about this podcast, is to make sure that when we do share about being an entrepreneur, we're not just sharing the highlight reel, because that's what everybody does get to see on Instagram most of the time.
Oh yeah.
So ability to be in front of somebody allows for a little bit more in-depth, a little bit more vulnerability. And my hope is that those people out there that are just starting up, or maybe they're feeling like they're at that pivot point, do they continue or move to a different direction? This podcast is going to help them sort of get some more clarity by listening to other people and knowing that they're not alone no matter what. If you just want to let me know a little bit about, where did you grow up? Where are you from?
I grew up all over BC, actually, but I was born in Vancouver. And then I went to 14 different schools, and I think we had 15 different houses by the time I was 17. And then I started traveling the world, and I was traveling and gone over a 30-year period. And then I came back in 2016.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to ask, like, I have this travel bug in me that
Yes.
I'll never get rid of. I haven't been to too many places, but I'm always wanting to travel. So out of all the places you've been, what are your top 3?
It's changed over the years as I've matured and come to appreciate countries for different things that they hold. Probably Japan is one of my top. Yeah, Japan.
Okay.
Japan, Thailand, and Italy.
Italy. Wow.
Yeah.
Lovely. I love that. Those are all so very different from each other. So
Very different.
yeah, no, that's great. Well, thank you for sharing that. So you moved around for a lot, it sounds like. So, and you came back in 2016.
Yeah. Right.
And was that to Vancouver that you came back to, or did you come back?
Oh, that's right. I came back to Vancouver. Yes, I am brand new in Victoria since the end of October 2023. So brand new.
Now that we kind of have a bit of an idea of, you're growing up and you've been all over sorts of everywhere. Can you share a little bit about your journey and what it's been like for you to go from like starting up and
Mhm.
to where you are today?
Yes, it's a bit of a different kind of journey, because I had been traveling so much. When I got pregnant, I had to settle somewhere, and I was 27, and I could finally delve into my passion and study aesthetics, and that's where it started. So a very long time ago now, 1998. So I settled in South Africa, actually. I married a South African and I was pregnant with my first child and I started school. I had been wanting to do aesthetics for years. And I can tell you a little bit about how that started, that story afterwards, what got me into aesthetics. But I finally was in one place long enough to study. So I did that throughout my whole pregnancy. And then I worked in a couple spas in South Africa. And then I went into massage, really in-depth massage and essential oils and mixing products. And then I started my own business. That spa was going for a while as a side job because I became an owner in a model agency. So I did have a business in a different industry than I am in now for a while. So I was an owner, operator then as
Okay.
well. So that's a little bit of a background. It's always kind of been entrepreneurial. I did that. And then I decided to get back into aesthetics. That's where my passion is. So I did that probably for about 11 years. And then I really went in big and opened my own spa from home again. I was doing aesthetic, so it covered everything and massage as well, and kind of holistic therapies. So I kind of expanded, right, my knowledge and went into reflexology and a whole bunch of other stuff. Really, really fun stuff, some personal stuff, divorce and things. We decided, my kids and I decided that it was time to come to Vancouver and start fresh. So we
Mhm.
did in 2016. And I knew coming over here, there was going to be a big shift and I needed to up my game. You know, there was a lot of nail spas now on every corner. And it was really hard to start your own business in Vancouver and even harder now. What I did was I looked at what would be the next step. So I found a really reputable school and I went back to school and I studied medical aesthetic. Also, with age, you know, your hands get a little tired and the massage is
Sure.
more difficult. So I was kind of like, what would be the next step, but still follow my passion? So working with machines, laser machines, and microdermabrasion and dermaplaning, and all these lovely, beautiful treatments that I could actually. They brought me a level higher on treating my clients, their issues, their concerns, and really being able to target stuff. Although a fluffy, beautiful massaging facial is lovely, I
Yes.
really wanted to target issues. I wanted to make a
Yeah.
difference for people. So I really looked into that, studied it, got my hands in the pie, and then I was so lucky to get hired by someone who had just started out. And together we built, it was her franchise, but she kept me alongside her. We built a franchise in Vancouver and there was 5 clinics. Yeah, and it was thriving. We created a medical aesthetics course. And so we started teaching. It was just go, go, go. Living
Mhm.
far from our offices, so traveling 2 hours a day. And I just burnt out after 7 years. I just really burnt
Oh,
out. Yeah, and I just wanted to get back to where's my heart? Where do my values
yes.
lie? What is my passion? And Vancouver's very busy and crazy, and I wanted to slow down a bit. So my boyfriend and I decided we wanted to make a move to Victoria and get to the island life that we've been hearing about and slow everything down. And so I started my own natural laser and skin spa. And now I'm working one on one with my clients again. So long story, but it really is my passion. I am so excited. So excited to be here. I'm so excited to, people really share their
Mhm. Mhm.
lives and where they're at. And I have the privilege of helping them. So that's it. That's my passion. That's my purpose. And here I am.
Oh, I love that. I mean, it sounds like for quite some time, you really have been following your, what I like to say, true north. And even throughout all these different adversities throughout your life, before kids, with kids, a big move, that's a huge transition. You have continued to follow that and honor, like you said, your heart and where you want to be. And I can see and hear this passion in you, the energy that is exuding right now from it all is just so, this is exactly what I want people to hear. And I know that people, when they're listening, are going to hear as soon as your excitement picks up, but also for them to hear also that you went through all of that to get to where you are today. And also, there is going to be lots of different ages, I hope, listening to this podcast because we don't have to wait for something to happen. We don't have to, or tell ourselves that, okay, well, that, starting a business was 20 years ago. I'm not going to do that now. I should have done that 20. No, no, like you can do so many different things, and age doesn't matter as long as you're following your heart. Like you said, you started thinking about what you need to do next for your own self, your own personal self. And so I love that. I think that is such a great beginning to hear about where you've come from. So that's wonderful. Thank you. So what out of your journey now, like what was your pivotal moment to set you on the move, I guess. Let's go to there. So you were in Vancouver, you did a lot in Vancouver, you were working with a bunch of people, and the move happened. Now it sounds like it was a mutual decision, your boyfriend, to come over here. Business speaking, was there also a reason for that, like to get out of where you were and to just be on your own?
Yeah, absolutely. When you're working for somebody else, you are trying to dig into their goals and their ideas of where that business is going to go. You're committing to someone else's dreams, right? And I did that, and I was in. My whole heart was in. But as in life, changes happen, and we grow, and we maybe come to stages where the person you're with or working alongside, your visions change as well, right? For me, I just needed to get back to where my passions were. People's values change, right?
Yes.
They
Yes.
have different callings. Their purpose for what they're doing changes. I got lost in that. And I think that was part of my burnout too, like emotional burnout. I spent, let's say, the better part of last year, 2023, spiraling and just
Mm.
trying to tread water, and no, I'm doing the right thing. And, but honestly, I think it was more about the paycheck, and that is not sustainable. My heart was
Ooh,
my heart,
yes.
my soul was breaking. Like, one thing I say about coming to Victoria and going down to Willows Beach and doing a walk, I'm like, I feel like my soul's filling up again.
Oh,
Uh, and coming to
that's
work,
so beautiful.
yeah, it's 100% how I feel. Coming to work and seeing the excitement in my clients, and already, so I'm in my third month. I already have seen clients 2 and 3 times. The differences I'm making for them is, bring it. I haven't felt this way in a very long time.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Burnout is such a hard place to come back out of. I can relate to burnout coming out of it, and people don't know what to do for you either. Like it's a very personal thing. You know, it can take some time. It sounds like you not only have found a location, geographically, but also uh, your heart, right? So
Oh, yeah.
following that true north. And I think another point to go back to is to something that you said is like when you're doing something for the paycheck, it changes so much out of your, it almost becomes like a ball and chain. That's the
Oh,
way that I would kind of describe it right now. That's the only thing that kind of comes to my mind is like a ball and chain. Like you'd think that doing something for a paycheck is going to help you in the end because a lot of times people are doing it because they've gotten to a place where they need to pay the bills and they just have to. And that's a survival thing. All at the same time, when you're not following your heart and that piece is missing, it's a
yeah.
different type of feeling. It's a different type of like energy. It's totally different.
Yeah. I was not myself. It was a slow death. Like
Hmm. Hmm.
emotionally, luckily an opportunity came up and I was like, I need no money. I am just gonna put my heart into this and see where it goes. And so far, so good.
Oh, I love that. That's incredible. So with that, an opportunity, do you find that do you feel like you were thinking about it before this opportunity came? Do you feel like it sort of landed in your lap and it was just like, yes, I know this feels right. I'm going to do this.
Yep. It completely landed in my lap. There was an opportunity, and my son actually, when I brought it up to him, he's 25, he was concerned. He's like, Mom, you're jumping in too fast, and you haven't thought about this. And I said, this is an opportunity, and I'm not going to pass it. I just knew. I just knew. And he was like, okay, I support you then. And I was like, and he, to this day, is telling me, I'm so proud of you. Well done. And yeah, it's just awesome. It was an opportunity 100%. And then it started coming to fruition. And honestly, the opportunity came up at the beginning of September. And I was resigned by beginning of October. And yeah, and then moving over by the end of October. It was that quick.
Wow. Oh
The
my
line.
goodness. So it's literally been go, go, go for you since you've moved and then started this opportunity of your own space and business and everything.
Yeah, it just everything aligned. Like it, and that's amazing. When you close one door, everything opens up. It's just, and it aligns. Like, and I remember that from years ago. I remember having the awareness of closing a door, and until you actually close it, it's just gonna, flutter around. When that door is closed, boy, I tell you, a million open. And it's just taking that step to close that door. That's the scary part. And then you just keep it
Yes.
open and it comes. It just comes. The universe is amazing.
Right? It's so interesting. And you say like you do recall sort of having this feeling before.
Mm.
So you've felt this way, something aligned for you and you felt this way. Is there, could you put some words to what that feels like?
I don't know. It's an awakening, I guess.
Hmm.
It's kind of like a rebirth. I don't know. I can't. It's just brand new. It's a whole new.
Yeah.
You feel like a child almost, like your eyes are open again, and you're like, oh, I didn't even notice this was existing around me because when you're in that kind of a space where you're kind of not happy and you're not sure what's going on and you're doing stuff for others and you're not in touch with your heart and nothing's aligning and every day you're like, oh, I had an old a friend long ago who used to say chop wood, carry water, and I was starting to say that as I got ready for work every morning. I was just like,
Mm.
chop wood, carry water, carry on, do my thing. And as soon as that door closes, it really is. It's just like, has this always been here? I haven't been aware of it. And it's so exciting. You feel alive again.
Oh, I
Yeah, it's really
love it. I love that. And well, I'm kind of in the same, I would say I'm kind of feeling the same thing. Like all of a sudden, I just feel like there's so many things that are happening that are in alignment with things that I want to do and dreams that I've had for years. Like you said too, closing that door and then being able to move on to the next thing. I feel like the more these things happen, the more you trust the universe and the more they come to you. And it's not that people don't trust the universe before these opportunities present themselves. It's just different. And it's like this, it's a knowing. Feel like you are sitting in this space of just knowing that this is exactly where you're supposed to be right now.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you say that because I've got these little kind of reminders that pop up, right? Because I was trying to get out of that space last year. And one of them is everything is okay and you are exactly where you need to be today. Every day that
Mhm.
pops up for me. So it's exactly that, what you're saying. It is a knowing. I think even when I was sort of in a darker place last year, I knew I'd had this feeling before and I had no idea. I couldn't just go, oh, if I do this, it's going to come back. It's not like that. It takes time and steps and maybe something happening that kind of brings you awareness again. And then it starts to spiral, right? In a good way. So
Yes. Well, you've evolved, right? And since then, so I think it does that. I think that completely makes so much sense to not know when you're going to feel that same feeling again because you are just such a different person from that time. So there's so many other changes. Your environment around you has changed. What I would like to touch on is there any surprising connections that you've made in your journey? Like, let's say, talk a little bit about some connections coming out of the dark times and into this new opportunity that you've.
with the support of my two kids and my boyfriend, like they are backing me. You also feel like you just feel like you can do it, and you feel like I don't know, I don't even feel like it's something you have to prove. I'm not there anymore.
Mm, mm-hmm.
I want to live my life. And I don't know, from a place of love. It might sound corny, but it is my truth. I just decided that I want to help people. And this is what I know. This
Mm-hmm.
is my knowledge that I can impart with people. So I was going through a stage of, I want to help others. And how can I do that? And there must be something I can do. And then I was like, well, what can I do? What am I, fairly good at? What do I know enough of? And then I thought, well, that's it. That's my answer. So how can I take this to others, right? Instead of trying to search for something else that it's not even me. So
Mm-hmm.
that's also huge. It's
Yes.
what can I use that I already know to help others? And that could be like, just educating them on their skincare, right? Educating them on concerns that they have, and anything I know, I'm happy to part my knowledge. I'm I'm definitely not somebody. In fact, I probably part too much. I've been told, like, oh my goodness, you're going to have, everybody's going to go share all this stuff and nobody's going to come to you anymore. And I'm like, well, then so be it. Like, I want
Mm-hmm.
people to understand and know, be educated on what their concerns are and how we can change it and help them. Right. So, what can we do?
Yes.
So, as far as that is concerned. And I'm really focused on personalized guidance, really honing in on people's concerns or issues for themselves, and how can I help in whatever way.
Oh, well, it sounds like being open and curious and utilizing curiosity has really helped a lot along the way. And letting go and not being rigid in the way that you're showing up to take this next chapter of your life on. So I think that's such a great lesson for a lot of people too, coming out of a time in their life when things like they're coming out of burnout or they're coming out of some other type of transitional stage in their life, that just allowing things to progress and trusting in the process, but also at the same time of that, being curious, asking questions, I think is such an important message that you've shared as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it is about trusting the process, though. I love that. And I do feel, if you're just honest and you do, what you feel is the best thing you can do, then there's nothing wrong. Everything is beautiful.
Oh, yes, exactly. I love that. There's nothing wrong. Everything is beautiful as long as you are, well, that's being heart centered, right? To
That's
me,
right.
that's like exactly what being heart-centered is. Are there any tips that you would like to share with our listeners for staying motivated during some low points or getting through some challenges?
I think, and I'm sure everybody hears this, especially nowadays with all like social media and stuff, but really just focusing on your purpose and your passion and why, right? It's always back to the why, purpose and passion. And if I have purpose and I'm living from a place of passion, well, then I'm always happy. I'm
Yes,
always
for
happy.
sure.
So I think that's it for me. And always coming back to my why. And honestly, I haven't had a bad day, knock on wood, since I've moved to Victoria, as far as bad day, whatever that entails for anyone. But I haven't smiled this much in a very long time. I'm in the right place right now.
I love that. Well, going back to sort of that question and then what you had touched on about your sort of where you began, how did you get into aesthetics? Like, so you went from one business ownership of the modeling. It was it an agency?
Yes, model agency. Yeah.
Yes. So a modeling agency to aesthetics. So how did
Yeah.
that happen?
Well, what brought me on my travels was I modeled for a lot of years. So
Okay.
started that when I was 17, and I was, again, like 30 years I was overseas. And when I was 21, I broke out in adult acne. And of course, here I am. I'm in Asia. I'm got shoots to do, and I need my skin looking good. So it was a really rough stage, and I didn't understand it because I've always had good skin. And so I was 21, and I was going to all of these estheticians, and they do a steam and they try to extract things and, massages and all that stuff. Nothing was working. A friend of mine, I came home for a little bit, like 3 weeks or something, and a friend of mine took me to, I think it was a medical esthetician. I'm not sure at that stage. I think estheticians could do it actually. It was in 1991. And I went for my first chemical peel. Now, it's been about a year of skin just havoc. And I walked out of there after that treatment, and I remember the feeling to this day. I was just like, everybody needs to feel this good. Everybody should walk out of somewhere feeling this good. And it never left me. Yeah, so that's why I always had this passion to learn how to do facials and make people feel good through aesthetics.
Yes.
So that's why when I was 28, as soon as I was somewhere, I went and studied it. And evolving from there, getting into medical aesthetics, you can really target issues. You can change over a course of 3 to 6 months, someone do a complete rejuvenation, a complete resurfacing, depending what treatments you're doing, right? Even that skin tone, I can target acne and help people. And I know that feeling, and what it's like, and hide and everything. So I can help them,
Mhm.
get to the place they want to do. So that's my why, big time. Like, help people with their skin issues so they can glow, and be out there in the world and feeling their best, right? Especially now, right? With all the social media. And
Mhm.
my friends and I always joke, oh, thank goodness there was no cell phones in the 80s and 90s.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's just it, right? Like I have 2 daughters and, they're on YouTube. They're young and they don't have their own phones or anything, but they do like to watch YouTube sometimes, and I do. I That's a huge worry for me about social media. There's no manual. There's no manual, so it's just
No manual,
literally,
and it serves a purpose, right? Like, it serves a purpose
Yes.
for us. Absolutely. I think, just to touch on that quickly, where I've come to, and that is part of, being your owning your own company. And I've really had to, although I check my social media all the time, it's part of my business and I kind of see what's going on, but I really had to set my mind to, there is room for everybody. And what I
Mhm.
do, the person two doors down might have similar equipment, they're going to do it differently. And what I do and what my clients come to me for, and why they continue coming to me for those things, we connected. And that's our relationship. And the person two doors down is going to have their relationship. And I've really had to really get my mindset on that with the social media for sure. Otherwise, that could be really that could be a big hindrance, right? So that was something that I really had to focus on doing as well, which is also great when you get there and you're okay with that, and you realize, like even for you, right? There's everybody's doing a podcast, but what is it that you're bringing, and you're going to have your own thing, and the other person's not going to have that because they're not you.
Yeah, exactly. It's the secret
Right?
sauce, right? And the secret sauce is just being ourselves, really,
Totally.
you know? And that's the thing, that's the funny thing. It's like nobody can take or bottle me up and mass produce it because I'm just me. And same thing for you, right? And that's what I love, like setting those boundaries, I think, to touch back on just social media in general, as an entrepreneur, I think setting those boundaries for ourselves is such an important thing. And it sounds like you were able to acknowledge that that boundary needed to happen fairly quickly when you started your new business, that that's just something that needed to be sort of an active boundary that you continued on. So
And
that's
that's,
such a great tip.
for me personally, I really needed to do that. Other people, it might not bother them as much, but you can get, swept away into like, oh, I'm not doing that. Oh, what do I need to do that? And then you panic, and then you're not focused on the good things that you do provide, right? So yeah, that works for me.
Yes, and I've heard that a lot of people lately as well. It's just like narrowing down whether who we're following or anything like that. I think it's such an important thing.
Yeah.
Are there any other points or anything that you would like to touch on that relate to sort of bringing your dreams into reality?
Building good relationships with people. So I've been really fortunate. I've managed to keep some of my relationships in the industry as a whole. So with products and machines, and, I really value my relationships with the reps of all of, these companies, because I'm going to learn and grow through them as well. For me, that's really important, relationships. And, there's days where I'm like, oh, I can't remember what that does. And I think that might be a good product. And then I can just call on them, and they're very helpful. And that's relationships within my industry. Obviously, for other companies, it's different, but it is so important to build that and have that. And support is huge. And oh, that's one thing I love about the island. I have never in my life seen anything like the networks that are created on the island. It is so beautiful. I think, like in Vancouver, everybody is just like, how can I get one over on the next person, And here it's just like, let's support each other. I'm doing a brunch with women in business in Victoria. And, with you putting out your podcast and being able to network that way, and just meeting people, and people are so friendly, and I love it. So support networks. And then, what? Just jumping in sometimes. Sometimes you just got to go to the bank and say, can I have a line of credit, please? Because I really want to do this in my life. And people can help you.
Well, that's also part of the message that I'd like to spread is that nobody really is meant to do this alone. We are meant to have support. There's people that are willing absolutely to do that. And it sounds like you've moved to a place.
Oh, oh my
So
gosh.
there's another, like, could you have picked a better place to move to for this opportunity? Like all of those things just line up for you.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I love that. So I'd like to, if you don't mind, go into a little bit more about like your actual industry. Do you have some tips? Now I'm thinking my question is tips that are underrated, things that people can do at home that
Mhm.
everyone that you feel like in your experience that are just underrated.
For me, I think the biggest thing for people at home is being educated on your skincare. So there's a lot out there. And again, go back to social media, right? And, I'm not one to put anything down. In fact, I always tell my clients, like, if you've got product, let's start as you wean down in your product. Let's start getting you onto some, pharmaceutical or medical grade products. And while they're doing that, I give them testers. I mean, you have to allow people to, get a feel for this on their skin. And I'm definitely not one for like, you have to get this and you need to do that. But it's super important to be educated on what you're putting on your skin. A
Mm.
lot of what we are doing at home, just unbeknownst to us, or what it might say on social media, and just trusting what's out there, can actually be causing damage to our skin. So important. And for me, our treatments, like medical aesthetic treatments, are 50%. 50% of getting that treatment to its optimum results is going to be your at-home skincare. So it works in
Mm.
conjunction. If you have somebody who's, concerned about pigmentation, they could be putting on a product that's actually damaging the melanocytes in their skin, and they're causing it, a worse reaction, right? Or in here I am doing the treatment to target that and lighten it, and then they're going home and it's counteracting what I'm doing. So at home skincare, education on that is huge, huge.
I
Yeah.
love that so much because I am one of those people that just buys kind of like whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
whenever I need it.
Yeah.
But I actually just decided to get my daughter started on a routine because I wasn't modeled that when I was young. It wasn't something that was modeled to me. Like your skin is important. I remember my grandma telling me vitamin E, always vitamin E. Like at home, okay, that's great. Thanks, grandma. But I didn't have anything at home. Yeah, a bar of soap in the shower. Okay, I guess that's what I'm doing because my face looks dirty. I don't know. But I
Absolutely.
think it's such a good point to make that you can go and do these treatments and go to the spa and have this wonderful, beautiful facial or medical treatment and then come home and counteract all of that. So I think that is such a great thing to think about because that's certainly not something I would have thought about. I would be going in because I have a spot here or my I don't know, I'm just kind of like thinking of things, my pores all of a sudden look really clogged, but they're not. It's not like being minimized by the products I'm using, and
That's right.
instead
Exactly. Yeah.
so and then of course booking an appointment, but then coming home and reusing those same products and then you're like, well, how come? So I
Yeah.
think that's such a good important thing and
Yeah.
tip. I think that is a great tip for people at home if they are looking at getting treatments and to be open to sharing what products they're actually using. I think
That's right.
that's
Absolutely. And I think it's really important. Like, I just want to say, no, get it out, but that's not reality, right? So I try to work, with people and friends and family. I try to work with them and what they can do. So even if it's a minimal thing, like I always say, just please don't leave here without a good SPF. That's all I ask. Everything else we can start working on, but let's protect what we've done at least. This is your money and your investment, right?
yes,
So
I love that. Yes, reframing things differently for people, even like you just said, let's like protect what we've got and let's protect what we're trying to build into. I think framing it that way can have such a huge impact. It's not very many words, but just saying it that way. What are some of your personal favorite services?
For me, I always loved a chemical peel. And I think that goes right back, obviously, because that's my story. RF microneedling is, it's beautiful. There is a machine out there, and you can actually do microneedling now with radio frequency, and it actually, you can go right over your eyes, right up to the lash line. So it firms and tightens and lifts, and it does everything. So that's really beautiful, and not painful if you have a good numbing cream on first. So if you go to the right Mediclinic, you can have that treatment done. I love that. But just your basics. Like each treatment has its special thing that it does.
Mm-hmm.
Dermaplaning, you get rid of all that fine hair and give a nice little exfoliation. And then all your beautiful products that you spent money on can now penetrate, right? They penetrate deeper, they target the concerns. But yeah, probably RF microneedling or microneedling. That's one of my top.
Is that something that you offer in your
I do
spa? Is the
microneedling. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. And is there any, so you said minimal pain with the right cream. Is there downtime with that procedure?
Um, it depends. It depends if you do it with the right product. So I do have a product that you can use before and after your treatment. So it detoxes your skin and it repairs it. And then there's like no downtime. And I've done both, without this product and with, and without. I had itchy skin. It was a little, red, a little bit longer because it's healing and doing everything. It's doing what it's supposed to do, but it's not as comfortable. Whereas when
Mm-hmm.
you use the right product, oh, you wouldn't even know the next day I had a treatment. It just really absorbs and helps heal it quicker. So there's little tips and tricks along the way, which can help.
Yeah.
Treatments don't have a lot of downtime at a medical aesthetic level. If you're going
Mm-hmm.
to a dermatologist or surgeon, plastic surgery or something, obviously that's a different level. Then you're getting into
Mm-hmm.
most medical aesthetic treatments. There's not too much downtime.
Oh, that's wonderful. And it sounds like based on your experience, with the chemical peel, and going into that, the passion, because that's part of your story,
Yeah,
that is also something, and why you do really, from a deep down place, that treatment is such a wonderful treatment that people can benefit from. Whether they do have an issue and that's why they began it, or they're just looking for a different.
for a new glow, a fresh, like
Yes.
seasonally, right? So I say every 3 to 4 months. So normally what happens is you do a series of treatments. So it's a process. You don't come in and it's a one and done, right? Your skin's got to rejuvenate. That takes up to 4 weeks. So, one treatment, then it starts to rejuvenate. Then you target your concerns again. So you're looking at 3 to 6 months to really get the best results. And then you go into a maintenance program. And I usually say that's seasonal. That's just the easiest
Hmm.
for people, or every 3 to 4 months, pop in, do an IPL, do a chemical peel, just nice exfoliation, get a bit of a glow again. And I tell you, when they do that, they always come back to me and say, oh, my friends were like asking what I did differently, and or I'll ask them, a month later, so how was it? And did you see a difference over the few week time and everything? They're like, no, but my best friend said I was glowing, so I'm like, well, there you go. Good. You can see it. You can see
Yes.
the difference, right? And that's what I love.
An outer glow as well as an inner glow. And I think that those two things, they really can do a lot for a person, if they're not feeling so great about themselves for one reason or another,
Yeah.
and then they choose to do something. Self-care, skincare is such a huge piece of all of those things, especially as like you said too, we are seeing people on social media doing all these different things, or the filters and all these things, and then yeah.
It's confusing for people too, right? Then they're trying this, then they're
Mhm.
trying that, and their skin's breaking out and they're freaking out. And, they're like, I'm doing all the right things, but it's just too much. So it could
Yes.
even be just, let's scale you back. Let's just do a nice cleanse and tone, moisturize, and an SPF, calm everything down, and then we can consider.
Yeah, calm that need to have the quick fix and just allow incremental change. And it sounds like, with your experience, it sounds like people really do. Once they trust the process, then it does sound like they're able to have more patience, and then they start to see that incremental change because people around them are also seeing it and making comments and noticing it as well. That's wonderful. What do you think is the biggest misconception when it comes to the medical aesthetic industry?
It's expensive.
Mm, tell me more.
Yes. So it might be more of a process than going for surgery on something, but it can be less expensive in the long term. Also, again, it depends what results you want and immediately and what age you are. And there's a lot of factors, but skincare and the products that are in medi spas, if you go to the shops that are out there, it's totally comparable. And in fact, some of these products are cheaper than what's out on the shelves nowadays that are doing nothing for you. So,
Mm,
here's now you're getting something that's actually doing something, and the price is probably right on par. And I do have a lot of clients that are like, well, I'd really like to, but I can't afford it. And I said, well, let's look at some costs, right? And then I'm like, well, you buy a few things, I can give you a little gift bag, and da da da. And all of a sudden they're like, well, I can't even buy everything I've been buying in the store for that price. And I'm like, and now you've got a product that's going to make a difference for you and enhance what we're doing. So that is the biggest misconception. Also, if you buy a series of things, usually places give you a discount. So it's really just most places that I know of, it's a free consultation. I do a free consultation. Come on in, let's chat, be honest about what you want. I always ask people at the end of everything, when I give them a price and everything, I'm like, how does that sound to you? Does that work for you? If it doesn't work for you, what will? And then we go from
mm,
there. And yeah, especially nowadays, COVID, and people are in recession and maybe they're not making as much. Their hours are cut. There's kids, everything's so expensive, right? We were talking about it the other day. You buy a burger and the patty's this small, but it's the same price now, right? So sizeflation, I think they call
shrink shrinkflation is the word that I've heard a few times, and it's true. It really is
it.
true. I
So,
have experienced it at
yeah,
places that I shop at, and I'm like, wait a minute. I feel like the size of what it usually is smaller, but the price is higher. Like,
yes. So
yeah.
this is reality. Personally, want to make it affordable for everybody because
Mm,
because it's my passion. I want to help people.
yes.
For free because I have to buy the stuff in order to do it, obviously. But honestly, it's not as expensive as people do think it is. So,
Yeah, and I think that's important to share too, because I think a lot of people just even the word medical with aesthetic, though that combination of words can really make those alarm bells go off as far as price is concerned. But
yeah,
in a lot of ways, it sounds like overall and for the long term, if you have that willingness to be patient and spend your time and find someone like you who is so willing to work through every little detail, whether it's the price struggle, whether it's, maybe they've tried some other treatments that haven't worked for them somewhere else, and you are really willing to show up for them
yeah,
empathetically and just make sure that they get to a place where they feel good about themselves outside and inside. And that's
100.
amazing.
That's my mission.
Oh, I love it. So Trish, just to kind of go over a few of the things that we've talked about today, you've had this journey and it sounds like it's been an odyssey. It's been a long journey for you and going from one industry in one sense, but also finding your why and finding your passion. You took from your own sort of pain point, but also that turned into an ability for you to do something that you really do love to do, going from starting somewhere brand new with schooling and then a big, huge move, and then another move to open up your own space in beautiful Victoria. And it sounds like you've been able to find a network of other support. And that's such a key, I think, factor in a lot of things and a lot of businesses, whether you are a solopreneur, you're just starting up, or you've had some changes in your path along the way. We do lose people sometimes along the way, lose some support, but we gain so much support in other ways as well. And it sounds like you have just been able to attract this energy around you to support this place that you're in right now, which is a place that is in alignment with so many things. You're a heart-centered person. I have loved getting to know you and hearing all about your education, sharing your knowledge that you've given us today, and also the fact that you are willing to share so much with even people who come to you, it sounds like whether they actually get a service from you or they're just in a consultation, you have so much knowledge that you're willing to share. And I think that is such a beautiful thing to have in a person who is doing services. Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you so much, Trish. I have really enjoyed having you on this podcast. I think that with what I'm looking to do with sharing stories, your story that you have brought, you've had triumphs, you've had some challenges, you've shared some pain points, and here you are. You have just started a whole new business in 2023 and continuing on into 2024. It sounds like you are already on a path of just like sunshine and beautiful people coming your way. I really appreciate you sharing everything.
Thank you. I feel very grateful. And yes, I am so happy I moved to the island. Oh, it's a different life and just one that I'm like ready for. Really ready
Oh,
for.
wonderful.
Thank you for your time and allowing me to come in your space and share as well. Thank you. It's been fun.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Thank you for joining this week's episode of Anchor Your Dreams. I hope you enjoyed today's conversation as much as I did. A big thank you to our incredible guest for sharing their wisdom and insights. If you resonated with today's episode and want to explore more about turning your dreams into reality, be sure to subscribe to the podcast. We have a lineup of amazing guests and valuable content coming your way. Don't forget to connect with us on social media. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook. Share your thoughts, insights, and your own journey using the hashtag #AnchorYourDreams. Head over to our website at meganmcquillan.com in the podcast section, where you'll find the show notes, resources, and information about upcoming episodes. Before we wrap up, I want to express my gratitude to each and every one of you. Your support means the world to me, and I'm thrilled to be on this journey with you. Remember, anchored dreams become goals. Anchored goals become results. Until next time, dream big and stay anchored.